Hi, this is Robert Clinky-Beard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. We're going to take 20 minutes to deliver some amazing content from accomplished leaders and business owners to provide you with some value to scale your business and to become a better leader and push yourself out of your comfort zone. We encourage you to like and share with everyone to spread our messages. I'm super excited to announce our new partnership with Weathermatic. For most landscape companies, irrigation is an untapped gold mine for growth and profit, but labor and process problems stand in the way. So Weathermatic has created a partnership to package mobile technology and software with proven business solutions to tackle the perennial irrigation challenges and take your operations to a whole new level. I encourage you to reach out to Weathermatic and learn more. Cheers, everyone. Hi, this is Robert Clinky-Beard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. Really excited today to be joined by Tim Kubista. Did I say that correctly?
You got it.
Okay, cool. So Tim, thanks for joining me on the show today. I'd love the audience just to know a little bit more about you and your background. So maybe spend a couple of minutes on that.
Sure. I work at RC Mowers. I'm part of the team at RC Mowers. I manage our sales and marketing. So my background is largely sales and marketing in manufacturing companies. I am new to the landscape business since I've been with RC Mowers in the past, say, 4 years. And we really have two products that impact the lawn and landscape world. One is a remote controlled mower that's used for extreme landscapes, like think of steep slopes, ponds, things like that. And then our other product that we just introduced about a year ago is a fully autonomous commercial mower. And the promise of that product is it allows the landscaper to take what was a 3-person mowing crew to one. So that single operator can deploy 3 mowers, and while they're doing their job, they can string trim or do other tasks, whatever they might be.
Cool. Well, let's dive into it. I know, we were talking offline and how, some of the media channels they're talk about autonomous mowers. They put things into one different bucket. And I think, you being new to the industry and maybe sales and marketing and, I think you just wanted to help clarify that term autonomous mowers and maybe split it up into a little bit.
Sure. So we hear about autonomy and we hear about robots, kind of the same thing. I see when I think of autonomy, there's 2 buckets. One is the bucket where the product is installed on the property and it operates very much like a Roomba. It's a little mower. It might cut 2 to 3 feet in width. And it has a base station that it goes to, that it gets charged. And then there's often either a wire installed in the property to guide it on what the boundaries are. Works very much like a pet boundary. Or other brands might have some sort of base station that's installed that talks to the robot. But in either case, it works very much like a Roomba. It comes out and it mows and it goes back to its station. So it's installed and integrated on the property, and that is a whole business all by itself, and it's a good business. It's not something I'm an expert at, however. So brands you'll see there, and I'm gonna leave a lot out, but brands like Husqvarna, Cress are 2 examples, and there's many more. Then the other autonomous mower that we'll see, we call it a commercial autonomous mower, and it looks very much like a 0-turn or a stand-on mower that you might use in your landscape operation every day. But instead of being integrated into the property, it's integrated into the landscape mowing operation. So traditionally, we might have a crew of 3 people with 3 mowers. As an example, go to a site and they all deploy mowers and do their work. With commercial autonomy, a single person will arrive and with a truck and trailer, and they'll unload 3 mowers and deploy them and let them mow autonomously. And while they're doing their job, they'll pick up garbage, string trim, blow grass off of sidewalks or parking lots, or what other maintenance they might find on a property. And when the mowers are done, they put them back in and go on to the next job. So they're both offer, say, labor savings, but two completely different solutions.
Yeah. That makes sense. And where your expertise in is more of the commercial situation. You've got the labor saving piece, but some of the concerns that might come up are around safety. I think even availability. I mean, I've heard some of my clients mention, yeah, I'd love to go that direction, but are there enough mowers out there to be start to maintaining my site? So is that stuff you hear in the marketplace?
Yep.
What are some of your concerns?
So those are all great questions. So first, let's talk about the why or the labor savings. So we have done our own return on investment calculations, and we see, depending on the market, a return on investment somewhere between 22 months and 33 months, roughly. So that means if the machine costs you $1, you have $1 in savings that you've calculated back in somewhere between 22 and 23 months. And we have some customers that are very large organizations with very sophisticated financial operations, and they have calculated their own experience with our products. So not a theory, their own experience. And they've experienced a return on, they look at it in terms of percentage, right? If I invest $1, I get a 20% return or 25% return. And without disclosing specifics, let's just say it's in the 20 to 30% range. Just the sheer investment is one reason to consider autonomy, but I think there's a more significant reason, and that is the labor challenge that everybody faces. It's everywhere. It's in every business, and it's at all layers, at the top, the middle, and the bottom. It's some of my favorite restaurants that I'll go to, and they'll have a sign on the door on Wednesday that says we're closing early because of the lack of staff. Or literally there's a gas station 2 miles from my house that will randomly close early because they don't have staff. This happens all over the place. And we're in a transition where we have people retiring and leaving the workforce at a rate that exceeds new people coming in. And this is not going to go away. So it's my belief that businesses that prepare for a new paradigm are going to be better prepared. And I mentioned to you offline that, autonomy today is not that different than Henry Ford introducing an automobile more than 100 years ago. What the main method that people used for transportation was a horse, and all the infrastructure for that existed, right? Well, I wasn't alive at the time. If you just imagine, stables and feed and, veterinarian care or whatever, and you're the one person that buys an automobile in your town, in 1906, where do you get fuel? Where do you get service? Where do you store it? How do you drive at night, right? All things that you and I take for granted today. And the same thing exists with autonomy, right? It might have all its promises, but it is a radical paradigm shift, because not only does it change your operation, but as a landscaper, you're moving operating expense money to capital. And that's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a reality, right? But it's a change in how you think. I talk to landscapers all the time, big ones and small ones. I don't care if they have 5 employees, 50 or 500. And they tell me consistently that, Tim, getting the work is not that hard. It's a piece of cake to get the work. Getting the staff is a whole nother thing, and keeping the staff. And many companies, they use this term that I'm sure you've heard more than I, the 100 days of hell, staffing up. Now think of that we have this labor challenge so bad that we have the 100 days of hell. Or I meet a landscaper that has 4 full-time recruiters. Their only job is to recruit people to get them to apply. That's it.
Right. Yep.
So what autonomy offers is a new way to solve this problem. It's not going to solve it by itself. You can't go invest in autonomy and all your problems go away, but I think it can be another tool. I'd also say we're very, very early in this period. It's a very small space initially today, But again, think of what automobiles were like in 1904, 1905, 1906. And I think we're going to see a very similar transition because technologically they work. This is the technology that's inside these machines is inside many other machines. So the technological hurdle has been overcome. The financial hurdle or return on investment, it works, right? We've proven it. Our competitors have proven it. This works. What is next is the industry going through a strategic shift and a paradigm shift, moving money from expense to capital or a balance sheet item. And quite candidly, we need to see the bigger players do this repeatedly on scale, and we're going to start seeing that in 2024. We're going to see some of the larger players that have made trial investments make secondary investments. And I think we're going to see that happen more and more. And as that continues to happen, it'll start to get the attention of the masses. Will it all happen this year? No, I don't think so. But I suspect in 36 months, we, meaning the autonomy space, you and I will have a completely different conversation. This isn't a way out there idea in 3 years. This is how fast am I going to integrate it into my business conversation?
For sure. No, I don't know if it's just the landscape industry or whether the other industry is the same thing, but I've talking to some people who've been in business way longer than I have. And, some of their comments are, landscape companies have a tendency to almost wait for other people to try a new trend or new fad or whatever you want to call it. And that's probably the case with autonomous mowers. I think there are some big adopters out there, but there's definitely a lot of people just sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what happens. I mean, what's exciting is going to some of the trade shows and seeing more and more autonomous mowers and robotics and battery powered equipment there. So I can definitely see it beginning to shift. So definitely exciting. So what do you think about that?
Well, you have more experience in landscaping than I, but just a few observations on your comments. So zero turn technology and hydrostatic transmissions are relatively new in the last few decades, I believe. I don't know the history. I don't know who did it, but to me, that proves that landscapers can transition. Also, battery powered, not on mowers, but let's say tools. That has come full circle, right? I remember folks not that long ago turning their nose up at electric drills or especially electric string trimmer, right? No way, not enough power. Now it's standard, really.
Right.
Or even blowers. The early blowers, they didn't have any power. That's not the case anymore. And I think there's something else happening with the industry that's going to accelerate this. I'm not a historian on the space, but from what I can tell, there's more professional management and professional money in the space today than there has been in any time in its history, right? There's all kinds of roll-ups trying to happen. And is that a good thing or bad thing? I don't really know. But with professional management, whether it's the money management or the industry grooming and training people internally or bringing outsiders in, they're going to see the labor problem as a strategic challenge. And they're gonna invest money and try new things. And that will be part of what accelerates autonomy because it works. It works economically and it works technically. I do think there's one thing that will slow things down. That's the electric mower business. So the EV space.
Right.
I don't see where that's really worked. There's been all kinds of promise, but there's almost no scale, and it comes with a lot of problems. And I'm not saying it won't be great someday, right? But it comes with extra weight, extra heat, and then once you buy the machines, integrating it into your business, you have to adjust your infrastructure. And a lot of times the branches are rented, not owned, right? So it gets hard to make those investments. And then you have to either unload those vehicles and plug them in every single night or custom build your own trailer, so there's some things there that if I've spoken to some landscapers that they view autonomy similar to the EV space, and it's just with a bit of caution. This hasn't turned out the way we thought. I don't want to be the guy that makes the investment and it turns out to be wrong.
No, that's a fair comment. Fair comment. How about, when you talked earlier about, take the commercial situation where one person is driving up to large HOA or commercial property, rolling off 3 mowers, setting them up.
Yep.
What is that going to change the type of operator, technician that is companies hire? Because obviously they're moving away from the traditional, machine operator to potentially somebody who's perhaps maybe more tech savvy. I don't know. I mean, that's never really a question before.
I don't know. And you can make a case either way. So one historical item is, do you understand what a CNC machine is? So a milling machine.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago before we had CNC machines, it was done by hand, right? You had a technical operator. And then the promise of computer-aided technology is you actually saw that the workers made more money, and they made more money because they could get more work done. They could manage more machines, and they, at the end of the day, wages are about economic throughput, right? And so in that case, we saw technology elevated because the technicians eventually had to learn computer programming, right? They didn't have to be experts, but they had to understand basic programming. And I wonder, will this be any different? Now, that said, whether it's our product or others, and some of the players out there that now are like Wright or Scythe, they both have great products. Their products, like ours at RC Mowers, are pretty easy to operate. Like I could teach you or anybody how to run these without supervision and not a lot of time.
Right.
It's so on the one hand, I don't think so, but I'll say this, many landscape companies have told me that they get frustrated with their crews. They don't like technology. Like they can't even get them to log in and out of a phone on a job, right? That frustrates them that technology is there, but the worker pushes back. I think the worker is going to have to adapt, because how do you feel as an owner if you have this promise of technology and it's not that hard, right? 5-year-olds can use this thing, but if you're throwing your arms up in a job as a worker and saying you're not going to do it, I don't think those people are going to have a place in the road. I don't think we need a new class of worker. Everything I've seen is the workers we have today can do this work.
I even wondered whether, the industry has had a hard time with attracting a certain demographic. And I just wondered if there was an opportunity for either college students or people at young kids at high school that had a high degree of, technical, even just from using their phone, whether this is an opportunity for landscape owners to attract those types of people into their companies because there was more data, more technology.
I think so for a couple of reasons. The world has changed. I was in high school in the 80s. And in the 80s, somebody in high school that could get a job mowing the local church or local school, that was a job you had with pride. That's not the case today. People kind of turn their nose up at it.
Right.
However, if you just look at the trades in general, workers are attracted to companies that provide really good looking uniforms because let's be honest, we have pride in how we look. How about new late model vehicles? I mean, do you want to go to work for somebody that has 10-year-old trucks? The answer is you don't. Not only do you not want that as an employee, but because you want to have pride and whatnot, but what does it tell you about the employer when they don't invest in their equipment? Right. So I think if you have an employer that has late model vehicles, really great, sharp looking trailers. So me as a worker, when I pull up to a job site, I get out with a bit of a strut, like, look at me, I look good and I've got this great equipment. And then to top it off, you back out some of the most badass advanced mowers in the world, I think you're going to get some pretty neat people. And I'll tell you, we have, I think of one customer, pretty big outfit, maybe 600-700 employees. And one of the guys that got assigned to the autonomous crew, he had a tremendous amount of pride. Like, I got picked to do this advanced stuff, to do this, the company, the work I'm doing has the attention of the owner, right? That was, whereas the other crew he was on, nope, nobody noticed, at least in his mind, right?
Right. Right.
So I think over time, yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Oh, well, I know we're just running out of time here. What's the best way for people to get hold of you, learn a little bit about your product, what you offer up to different companies?
So I would say the best way is to go to our website, which is rcmowersusa.com. Alternatively, we're on all the social channels. Our handle is RC Mowers USA. Just hit us out there, hit us on social media, hit us on our website, and we will come to you and show you what we have.
Cool. Awesome. Tim, thank you much for your time today.
Yes.
Thanks for sharing your wisdom. Thanks for clarifying the differences between the two different types of autonomous mowers. I really appreciate that. So,
thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. Take care.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Okay, cheers, bye. Hopefully that was pure, dead brilliant for you today, and you got some great takeaways for your business or your leadership role. This is Robert Clickybeard. We'd love to get you and your friends to join us in our future journey. So please subscribe to our various podcast channels or visit thecommerciallandscaper.com or wilson360.com. Love you to join you there. We have our new 360 Plus community program we'd love you to sign up for. It's on the far right-hand side of our website. Thanks again for our partner, Weathermatic, and I encourage you to reach out to them. Have a pure, dead, brilliant day. Cheers, everyone.